there's been a lot of UFO excitement in the mainstream media lately, um, which is kind of bizarre in my opinion, that a lot of this stuff is just now coming out and the way it's coming out. But I honestly haven't had a lot of time to really focus on the hearings and what's been going on. I haven't had a chance to actually watch them all the way through. I've seen snippets here and there. So I'm relatively ignorant on what's actually coming out. I know what's coming out because I've seen a lot of these guys on podcasts and interviews and stuff. Um, but I haven't been watching the hearings, so I feel like I'm at a disadvantage. And Robbie, you have been watching, and this has actually been something that has thrown you right down a rabbit hole.
It's ridiculous, but yes. Yeah.
So I was kind of hoping that you'd kind of shed some light on what's going on and what you found. I'm kind of interested in where you've been, mentally, as far as in the past growing up. Are UFOs real? Just mysterious and paranormal things in general,
Yeah,
and how this might have influenced one way or another, if at all, your views on things.
yeah, I mean, I'm a skeptic 100% across the board, no matter what it is, whether it's UFOs, whether it's ghosts, whether it's, religious stuff, all the exorcisms and all that, all demons, all of that stuff. It's I need proof. I'm a skeptic at heart. And basically I'd heard about this hearing coming up, that the Senate was going to be doing these hearings about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and I was like, okay, I guess I need to at least familiarize myself with some of this stuff, right? So, look, to answer your question, I never really believed that a lot of the UFO stuff that the pictures and the videos and stuff like that, I never believed any of that stuff was real, because it just looked like frisbees or, trash cans
or something.
Yeah, it just didn't look, it didn't compel me to think, yeah, that's real. The Roswell stuff really interested me.
Mm-hmm.
The Operation Blue Book, when they released all that stuff under the Freedom of Information Act, right? I was all interested in that and read a bunch of that stuff. And I was like, okay, there's probably stuff out there, but it's going to remain this thing that's, it's not in the mainstream. It's this very niche thing that only a few people really want to talk about. And so I didn't really pay any attention to it until all this started happening. I watched this documentary on Disney Plus. It's a relatively new documentary, and it's called UFOs Investigating the Unknown, and it's by National Geographic. And apparently there was this New York Times article that's released in 2018, where it kind of goes through all this stuff, and that's where David Fravor came from. That's where Graves, one of the other, I can't remember his first name, Ryan Graves, he's the pilot. One of the other pilots that basically was coming out and saying, look, this stuff is real. It's affecting our military. It's completely disruptive to the military. And it got me really, really interested in it, because these are people that are not prone to lie. And when David Fravor was on Joe Rogan, and that really interested me, because this wasn't just some guy going, hey, I saw this thing and whatever. No, this was a guy. It wasn't
a goat herder, in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
This is reputable, somebody who had knowledge of advanced aircraft, and you can't really get a better witness than some of these fighter pilots, in my opinion.
And what I love about when you listen to them talk, they don't talk about, there's no flowery language. There's no, these are the facts. This is the data.
Sure.
This is exactly what happened. The thing went from, 10 feet above the water to 60,000 feet in no time. And it would kill any human, at least with our current technology. A human wouldn't be able to survive that. And then, we're sitting there looking at it, and it basically, to our eyes, it disappears. And then the base says, oh, it's like 60 miles away or something. Whatever it is, whatever the stuff is. The details I don't remember. But it was interesting enough. But I'm telling you, if you watch that documentary, even if you're a skeptic, you're going to be like, okay, this might be something to look into. This is some interesting stuff. And, and it's not just these guys. There's a bunch of different stories. There's one that was in Stephenville, which is like an hour and a half away from here, that happened just a couple of years ago, which was like, I didn't hear about that. I don't remember hearing. And so it was really interesting documentary and interviewing a lot of the, like, Elizondo, right?
Louis
Yeah, he's on it. Graves is on it. I think Fravor's on it. It's just a bunch of different people, and hearing all of these different points of view is really cool. So anyway, this hearing that happened a couple of weeks ago isn't like, I mean, it's one thing to see this in a movie, a documentary. It's another thing to see them sworn in and then sit down and tell Congress about it. And Congress is coming at it from, this is disrupting military operations. This is disrupting commercial flights. This is something that we need to take seriously. We need to get to the bottom of this. So I'd heard from these pilots before, but I hadn't heard from this guy in the center, David Grush, I believe is his name. And he was in some sort of intelligence where he was heading up a group that was basically receiving these stories. So he hadn't specifically witnessed anything himself, but he's been compiling all of this information. And he started dropping stuff where I'm going, I mean, my jaw's dropping. I can't believe I'm hearing this right now in an official government hearing. It was insane. It was like 2 hours, and it's on YouTube. You can watch it. It is amazing.
I've seen an interview he's done, but again, I haven't seen like the questions that they're being asked by the congressman, and I need to catch up on the hearings. It is interesting to see. I would consider you like a normie when it comes to UFOs. Then, if this is something that's really shocking you, because it's not shocking me. All this stuff. What's shocking me is that it's out in the public, as prominent as it is, that there are hearings and stuff, and the distrusting part of me that is kind of skeptical of the government is wondering why all of this stuff is coming out the way it is, and with apparently their acknowledgement that, we don't know what this stuff is. It's not ours. It doesn't come from Earth. Why are they saying this now? When the leaked footage of these UFOs, I'm not a fan of UAP, the term. I as far as I know, that was like the media that pushed UAP. I might be wrong on that, but and the government. So I don't know why everybody's just kind of jumped on to saying UAP instead of UFO, as I don't think UFO, they say UFO has baggage and whatnot, but they're coming out saying basically there's alien craft.
I think it's because some of the stuff is like, there's things that are just floating. It's not flying. So how do you describe that? And I think that's, some of this stuff is just like, there's some weird stuff. And then, like the David Fravor stuff where it goes under the water.
Well, those are USOs.
But yeah, I know, but it's like there's so much. I think that's, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my point though was more. Is there something really big around the corner that they're willing to throw out? UFOs are real as a smokescreen? Like, is there something that big that they're planning, that they are, that even something that big, they're okay with throwing this out? Hey, you guys digest this while we do, something in the back.
At least according
I'm
to
awfully suspicious of
the timing.
Yeah, of all of this stuff, the way it's coming out, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's
to me.
weird. It's like, some people said, it's because of, the indictments, or it's because of Hunter Biden and this stuff, right? All this stuff that's going on. But this is a completely nonpartisan thing. Number one,
for sure,
and number two, the major media outlets aren't covering this at all. Like that hearing came out, right? Or that hearing was on that day, and only a couple of smaller news outlets really kind of pushed the story, like
Okay, so I
CNN
wasn't
and
aware of that.
MSNBC.
Then I thought everybody was covering this,
Oh,
but
they're covering it, but
I
it's
don't watch
way.
mainstream media anymore
I
for the
don't
most
either.
part.
I don't either. But
No.
that's what I'm hearing is
Okay.
that yeah, it's pushed way down. Like it like if they were trying to distract the public from something, they're doing a terrible job at it because it's way down here.
Maybe it's just the stuff that I look at. It's super prominent. But I thought
Yeah.
CNN and
I mean,
Fox and ABC. I thought everybody was running
they are a
stories.
little bit, but it's not anywhere. It's not to the point where you're like, okay, they're deflecting here, or they're trying to distract us from something.
Who's running the hearings?
I can't remember the senators, but there's one.
I mean, like C-SPAN, is it ABC? You know, like which news outlets are
Like
airing?
broadcasting it?
Yeah, are
No, it's the
broadcasting it.
government broadcast. It's the Senate broadcast thing. I mean, I have the video. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like
so you've been watching online.
yeah.
Okay, because I'm kind of curious about that. I'm kind of wondering if this is something that C-SPAN is airing. If you know, I don't
I'm
know,
sure
Fox
they
News
are.
or CNN or whatever are talking about it as well.
But it's like, okay, so
But the fact that this is still official, on record by the United States government and the people in the government is still really
and
weird.
completely like bipartisan, right? There's, there's was
it's
it
both
AOC
parties.
and like Gratz or something, and
Yeah.
those people like fight all the time.
Yeah.
And those people
You
they're
can't
both
get-
sitting
you
there
can't
asking
get
questions.
more opposite.
Yeah,
than
and they're
that.
going and they're like supremely focused, and there's no infighting.
But you see, that
they're
makes
all
me
focused on
suspicious
it.
as well. Whenever both parties get together, like the current war that's going on in Europe right now, when I see both parties, beating that war drum, I'm kind of like, okay, what's going on here? This doesn't sound right. So yeah, that's another thing that has kind of made me look at the whole thing sideways, is the fact that it is bipartisan, because nothing's bipartisan anymore at
Right.
this point. Um,
It just seems like, and I think part of it. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some of the senators are probably, oh, I need to get reelected. Maybe this is something that if I push for something like
they
the
look-
release of this stuff, it can be something that
Sure.
whatever. But there's so many of them, and so many of them are asking questions, and with these looks of almost like shock on their faces when they get the answer, and like the guy in the center, the Grush, the intelligence guy, he's saying things like yeah, our government has craft, and we also have bodies, and I know where they are, and I can tell you in a I can't disclose this in a public setting. I would in a private whatever I don't know what it is. It's
that's the type
protected.
of stuff that'll get you disappeared, though.
Right, but he's out. I mean, it's out now. And
know.
he's actually done. Grush has done it was like an interview video thing for News Nation, which I'd never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like a 43-minute interview where he basically lines out a bunch of this stuff,
Yeah, I think that's the one that I'd seen.
and it's really really interesting stuff. I mean, it's like I said, I went down the rabbit hole. I was looking at interviews. I was looking at all kinds of stuff. But there's like stuff like one of the questions they asked was about in the late 60s. There were, and I want to say it was Montana. I could be wrong, but it was basically two ICBM locations that were miles away from each other, and the people that were working there, the UFO, UAP, whatever you want to say, hovered over the site, and 10 ICBMs went offline.
Oh yeah, that's happened to us and the Russians. I mean,
It's like it's just interesting stuff, and that they were asking questions about that, and of course they were like, I don't know, we don't know about that.
but that's the first thing we're hearing about, that type of,
Yeah.
like they were doing that. Yeah, this is, and you see, that's the stuff that's been out forever. I mean, Billy knows this. I mean,
yeah,
all these shows from sightings in the 90s to
but there's so
History
much
Channel.
noise. You know what I mean? There's so much. Like how many times did I watch a something on Fox was like, oh, we've got footage of the alien body or whatever, and they
The
wait till
alien
the last five
autopsy.
minutes of
Yeah.
the show, right? They're teasing it up the whole time, and when they go to break, they're saying coming up soon is the body from the, and then they show this thing where it's like that could be anybody, that could be freaking Daryl in a you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It's just one of those things. So
Me in a plastic trash bag.
I see where you're coming
Yeah.
from.
But it's
If it's something that you've delved into, none of this is coming as a surprise to people who research or even you just casually study this type of thing. And you're right. I mean, there's quacks, there's people looking for attention, and you have to sift that out and look at the stuff that it's like, okay, this is a very credible person. There's been generals for decades now talking about, hey, we've had alien craft. We've been trying to reverse engineer it. A lot of the technological breakthroughs that we've had over the decades is directly because of the alien technology that we have. Well, one of the things that really I was like, wow, that's freaking cool is the footage of the saucer that they locked onto. The way it's moving is exactly the way Bob Lazar said those things move. He said they don't go straight, they turn in the direction they want to move. And that thing is tilted and moving in this direction. It's exactly what he said.
dude, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. Right.
And Bob, I don't know if you're aware of Bob.
I do. I am.
Decades, I found out about him in the mid '90s when they were coming out with a little model kit of the UFO that he had described. It's the first time I'd heard of him, but yeah, like he keeps popping up and they keep discrediting him, but he keeps kind of the stuff that he says. We keep finding out he should know this stuff.
Well,
maybe
like
there's something to his story.
Yeah, the element that he described
Right,
that
yeah.
ended up being real. And then like somebody took a picture, and I think it was on Rogan when this happened. But they showed him a picture of it was kind of like a biometric screening thing.
With the spaces between the
Yeah,
joints.
yeah. And he goes, "Oh my god, that's the thing." You know what I mean? It was like, dude, I mean, it's definitely getting interesting at this point.
Sure, yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm skeptical. I'm not, again, excited. First of all, we'd seen something back in the early '90s, so the UFO question, I guess, for us, or for me anyways, it's never been is that real or not type of thing, because bare minimum what we saw would have been reversed alien technology by the military, being run, because we don't do that type of stuff that we saw in the early '90s. This was, and we've talked about this several times. This sucker was straight out of a 1950s sci-fi movie that we saw. So I at least since then it hasn't been like, oh, are they real or anything. You just start to see more confirmation the more you read and you hear about these people who have worked, like, again, high-ranking military especially, that have come out publicly over the years that just bizarrely just get kind of glossed over and ignored for whatever reason. Saying, yeah, this stuff's real. We know about it. We have it. So none of this is a surprise to me. Again, what is kind of not making sense to me is why all of a sudden the government is so willing to go along with talking about it, in a way that hasn't been dismissive, or because they could have easily said, once those leaked footage of the craft started coming out, all they had to say is, we don't know what this is. This must be fake, and it would have killed it, except for conspiracy theorists and stuff. The media wouldn't have picked anything up because the government says they don't know what it is. But the fact they said, yeah, no, this is legit footage, and we don't know what's going on here. We know it's not from Earth, though. It's like, why would you say that? When all they had to say was, yeah, that we don't know what this is. This isn't real. And I know Dodongo has some differing views on just UFO in general that we have. I'm kind of curious to see what he thinks, first of all, about the hearings and how that kind of fits in with his worldview of UFOs in general.
This is the first I'm hearing about the
Okay, so
about the hearing.
then why is that?
Because I live under a rock. I live in a cave.
You intentionally you don't follow world events and what's going on, do you?
No, I don't get on. I'm rarely on Facebook. I don't get on social media, watch much news now.
Okay.
I'm just like, eh.
Tim's actually fallen that close.
So I mean, I got my own take on where things are going
Sure,
anyway.
I know. Okay, so you're finding out about this. What do you think? What do you think about the government coming out and saying, yeah, this stuff, as far as we know, isn't coming from Earth?
Well, it's one of those things. They do it all the time. It's like they deny until they get set up and they're ready. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, of course. So what? Do something about it. Yeah, we're here. You know what I mean? We've got this now,
So do you think that this has been in the works and it's just been a matter of time before, like they've been laying the groundwork to come out publicly and actually, admit it essentially, or what do you think?
Yeah, and they do it all the time. It's like foreshadowing, if you will. Like you got movies like Armageddon, and Meteor and stuff like that, where, Earth's going to get annihilated. But at the same time, you have things like Project Wormwood, which is a government-operated project to specifically search out and find any sort of meteorite that might be devastating or catastrophic to the Earth. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, hey, a little bit of foreshadowing, just so you know, this might be happening, and if or when it does, this is going to be our plan. Kind of deal. Or don't be shocked if something stupid and crazy happens like this.
And that's been something that's been said for a while now, that the public has been prepped for a lot of this stuff with movies, Close Encounters and E.T., starting back, even maybe the 1950s, that they've been slowly being conditioned to, when it actually comes out, nobody's shocked at that point.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
See, yeah, go ahead.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
If they're going to do that. But I mean, just from like a national security, like why would you, it would be easier to just deny everything and know like the stuff that we got that we could use on a country, could just level people because the technology is just light years beyond anything. Like it's science fiction, Star Wars type of crap that the military has right now. I mean, the stealth fighter, that thing came out in the 70s. And it still looks like something that could be, like a spaceship almost,
Yeah.
So just imagine what they've developed now, that they'd want to keep on the low down. And once you start saying that they're real, you're basically at that point admitting you have alien technology, because there's no way in the world, if you admit that's real, then Roswell's real and all of these other crash sites that you've taken stuff from, then Bob Lazar's story starts to make a lot more sense. And then other countries realize, okay, you guys do have technology that's light years beyond anything that we know of. And why would you want that out there? You would think that just from a tactical advantage of not saying anything, and when you decide to use some of this stuff, it just, completely takes them by surprise.
See, I think that's what's cool about that that documentary. It talks about all the sightings around the world too,
Yeah.
and it's like the U.S. is really one of the few countries that's really keeping a lot of this secret. There are other countries that are talking about it, and they're going, "What do we do about this?" You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
and that's true. There are countries that are more open to the stuff than we are.
I think it's because they handed it over to a manufacturer like Boeing or Northrop or
Yeah.
and one of them, because that's what Grush said. He said one of them has it. I can tell you who it is.
Well, that's
in a closed
that's what General
setting.
Corso's been saying.
Yeah.
Forever he said that ago. That they take this technology and then they hand it off to civilian, companies like you're just talking about, and they run with it from there. And I mean, like all the way back to like the transistor, I think he was talking about, like all kinds of stuff, breakthroughs that we've had is stuff that's been seeded to civilian corporations, companies, whatnot, from the U.S. government, stuff that we've had, that we've taken from aliens. So, again, none of this is coming as a surprise to me. It's just, is there an ulterior motive to what's been going out? Because people have been saying like this is basically like, this is the excuse they need to basically really crack down on civil liberties and whatnot by, because we got to worry about space aliens now. So, we got to ramp up the Space Force, which was conveniently created just a couple of years ago. So, I mean, I don't know, but it's got me thinking.
Well, I think you were trying to set Dodongo up to give you his theory on what aliens really are, were you not?
Not really setting them up, just
No, I don't. I just mean like giving him the opportunity to. I think that's where you were trying to go with that.
yes, I wanted to see what his view on the publicity of this recently, his take on that, and then why is that his take? Because of his personal opinions on UFOs. So the fact that they're essentially at this point saying UFOs are real,
Yeah.
the United States government. What do you think about that, and why do you think? What do you think about that?
Okay.
Specifically the UFOs.
And I want to know what you think aliens really are.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a whole completely different can of worms. Okay, fine.
Okay. We'll get into that.
Specifically, UFOs. Specifically, my opinion, logically, I don't think people give man enough credit for his ability, and I don't think they give man enough credit for his ability to create and come up with the technology.
I think it's beyond top secret, and that's why your average military personnel, even elite fighter pilots, don't know what's going on. I think this is beyond most people's heads, authority-wise, in the United States government. I think it's like a shadow government, essentially. I don't even know if the president is briefed on this type of stuff.
That's what Grish was saying.
Yeah.
Basically.
And, but I think the people who do know that the aliens aren't a threat to us. So, but we don't need to know that. So they could ramp up the scare, like a Red Scare, if you will, to seize more control. We got to take more control because we got to protect you from the evil aliens. I don't think they necessarily have to be. I think it would be applicable whether they were from outer space or not. Because at this point, we've had the technology forever. If they were sinister, they could have taken us over a long time ago. So the fact that they haven't, I think, says something.
Fear is the number one tool in the playbook of people trying to consolidate power. Fear this, fear that. I mean, look at COVID.
Yeah.
The one thing that you hit on, which I thought was interesting, was the everybody's separated, and what's that one thing to unite us, right?
Right.
I think that's interesting, but it's also like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, because in the Bible, all the people spoke different languages, right? That was the I guess the punishment, right?
Yeah.
That everybody couldn't understand each other.
The consequence of the Tower of
But-
Babel. Yeah.
But I also think that it's easier to control people when they think that they're separated. So the fact that they're
Disagree. Divide and conquer.
divide and conquer, true.
Yes.
We're easier to control because we're divided. But I also think that if we came together on something, Republicans and Democrats going after the same thing here, knowledge of this, for whatever reason, I don't necessarily think that that's something to fear. But then again,
Well, it's it's the reasoning behind it. Like if you're united in a common goal for the betterment of the people, that's one thing. That's something that governments can fear. However, if you are united because of fear and looking for the government to protect you, that's when it's.
But what if this shadow government does exist and the Republicans and Democrats constantly fighting just plays into their plan of keeping everybody divided, everybody angry at each other, pointing fingers, racial divides, all of those things.
That's absolutely
part of
a
it.
thing that's happening. Absolutely, 100%. Anybody who's in power, they don't want a united people. They want people fighting with each other, because when people are fighting with each other, they're not
Fighting
questioning
them.
their authority. They're too busy with, oh, I don't like this person because of a certain reason. I don't, this person is the reason why I'm in the position that I'm in. They're not looking above; they're looking at their peers.
Correct.
I mean, it's common.
So then, if that's true, there is the shadow government. There's our government that we see each and every day, that really aren't pulling the strings, at least according to this theory. Then what would be the point of allowing that information to come out and allowing, basically, I mean, we don't see the puppeteers, but we're starting to see the strings, right?
You will eliminate resistance, though, if you get people scared of little green men in space. Like he was saying, you need something bigger that everybody could get behind, and I'm talking about everybody as just general populations.
It's the
of the world.
reasoning. It's the reasons of why you're united. Are you united to go against the authority, or are you united to help? United because you want the authority to protect you. Those are two completely polar opposite reasons to be united. One is it plays into a power grab, and one does not.
Yeah. On top
This way,
of that,
this way, people willingly give up their freedom to a government because they think that government's going to protect them from the baddie in the sky.
yeah, and on a scientific level, okay, not my personal belief system, but on a scientific level, I think you're an idiot if you don't think other life forms exist out there in the universe. Okay, you're absolutely dumb. You're dumb to think that they're not here, not visiting. If not, there's a whole inner Earth theory and all of that as well too.
Inner Earth, you know what?
We'll not get into that.
Inner Earth explains a whole lot if that's true.
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. Well,
Pterodactyls.
yeah.
Well, they could not be,
they're coming from inner Earth, man.
Yeah.
well, they're not. And that's the thing. It's like many years ago. Whatever was on this planet beforehand went underground. Maybe an asteroid hit it. They went underground. They've been living there ever since. There's no reason why they couldn't develop the same level of more technology. And then all of a sudden,
Like the Abyss?
Yeah.
It's like you ever see the, what was Time Machine? Two
Yeah.
different species evolving. They completely
The
different.
Morlocks.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a completely different environment, you're going to look differently. And they could have been us, but just.
Yeah.
That's what Grush doesn't call them aliens. He calls them non-human intelligence.
Interesting.
And he's actually bringing up the fact that we don't know if they're from space.
Well,
they
and-
could be from another dimension.
Exactly. These could be. They're so technologically advanced that they can move between dimensions and come to. So they're in our space, just not from our dimension.
Right.
As a possibility. Another one is inner Earth. Another one is they're interstellar space travelers. Like you said, that is another possibility that a lot of people have brought up.
Yeah. And ultimately, if they are aliens, what would be the ultimate end game? Okay, let's not bring up the whole
Hybrids.
and that's I was about to say, let's not bring up the whole Anunnaki and that, because that was
No ancient aliens
no
right now.
ancient that not right now. Even though I know a lot about that.
It's like
but-
Star Trek. It's a federation.
Yeah.
Of civilizations.
So eventually, what do we have to become? We either destroy ourselves as humans, as a race, or
Aliens could be time travelers too.
Or-
They could be, like you said, they could be us from
And that
500,000 years in the future or whatever.
and that's the cause that time travel does to the body is
Sure.
warping your body.
If you're in a
possibly.
space station out, you don't need muscles,
Yeah.
It's going to be senses like eyes that are going to need to be heightened, the ones that you're actually utilizing every day.
But
Well,
what
there's
Very interesting.
what if
but there's people that say that the whatever these gray things are, they're not even if they're
that they're
they're
robotic or
basically artificial.
they're droids.
And
Well, yeah, yeah.
AI,
I've heard that too.
and what if the whole point of it though, too, other than the fact that we might be one of the universe's best TV shows of all time, Earth, you know what I mean, is to get us ready. Because either we're going to destroy ourselves or we're going to get to the future to where we can join the Federation on a scientific level.
Sure. That's what we're
Because we either get off this planet or the sun supernovas or implodes on itself, one of the two, and we're all, we're all done anyway. So we either get to another solar system or we're gone.
So my take on all this is that I don't think that they're from space. I don't. I think it's some phenomenon that's been with us for thousands of years. It's manifested itself in different types of, like fairies, leprechauns, jinn. Because you notice like that phenomenon crosses. It's there's a lot of the same facets in the folklore, in the tales. It all kind of has a similar rhyme to it.
You need to watch Hellier. That series is a mind trip.
Well,
you guys need to watch. It's on YouTube.
What's it called?
Hellier.
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 The
They
point
delve into that a bit too as well.
Well, see, and the thing is, like you talk about fairy encounters, there's abduction tales going throughout all of history, but in that case, it was fairies. Now, maybe it was aliens, but the only way in their frame of reference to describe it was fairies, or maybe that's how it manifested itself, is in fairies. And then now in our day and age, it's manifesting itself in nuts and bolts spacecraft because of our level of understanding what technology is now, and that's how we see it. And in some way, they feed on us or have been feeding on us in some capacity for thousands of years, or there's something about us that they find a use in. Who knows?
I want them to be an inner-Earth civilization. That'd be so freaking cool. that sounds awesome.
That's why I say demons, though, man.
Well,
Demons feed off of us. They feed off of the negativity that they can. So yeah, demons or aliens, one of the two,
Or it could be, yeah, but I mean,
or inner Earth people.
or just underwater people.
Yeah,
civilizations
that's-
underwater.
yeah.
That's true.
Have you heard?
Because the USO, I mean, these things they see coming out of the ocean and going into the ocean.
Suppose-
Maybe the UFOs we see, that's where they originated. They're the dolphins from Sirius.
I just think it's really interesting because last night, again, rabbit hole, man, for like a couple of weeks now, I've just been like obsessed. But I watched this documentary on Tubi called Moment of Contact.
Tubi is so good, dude.
And it's about the incident in Brazil that happened in like 1995,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And it closely resembles Roswell. Now, I mean, you said earlier that there was, somebody came out or maybe it was you, so that it was debunked or whatever. But what was interesting is their description of the aircraft, which kind of resembles to me, I don't know, like a large Tic Tac, like is what Commander Fravor explained.
The Tic
you know what I
Tacs
mean?
have been around forever too. That's the thing.
Cigar shaped. I mean,
The
it's just
cigar
like
yes.
it's really, really interesting. Seeing that and then hearing the descriptions and things like that.
Why don't you hear about the Nordics anymore? What's up with them?
I do. I
Do you?
hear about
I haven't heard anything from the
The
Nordics.
podcast that I listen to, Mysterious Universe, they're always
Okay.
they bring up Nordics from time to time.
All right. The Nordic
But
aliens.
see, that's
the blonde hair, blue eyed aliens.
And look,
Oh.
that is one of the reasons why I think whatever this is, it's manifesting itself in whatever time frame it exists in. Because if you look at UFO reports from like the 30s and 40s, so many of those were they were using rockets to propel themselves and rings of fire and all this other stuff. Now it's like anti-gravity.
But a lot of that just might be the way we're interpreting it based on our current knowledge at the time.
Of course.
Like ancient accounts, they're talking about flying shields in the sky because that's what they could wrap their heads around. That's what it looked like as far as the stuff that they were familiar
They had
with.
to describe it in some way.
Yes. So maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's the same phenomenon. But what do you think about the government coming out though, and saying, yeah, this stuff, basically saying this stuff is real, and you're not, a conspiracy theorist nut anymore. It's vindication for a lot of weirdos.
It's what's interesting too is that so Graves, he's one of the pilots, right? He said that from commercial pilots, there's only about 5% that are actually followed up on, that are actually reported, because there's a stigma that
Same
they
thing
get
with
ground if they
commercial
report
airline
this stuff.
pilots.
So
Don't say anything
They're
anymore.
only reporting 5% of them.
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, again, to me, it's exciting because I think we're going to get more footage. I think we're going to get more information. We're going to get more hearings. We're going to get more people. Maybe this will encourage some others to break whatever NDAs they signed or whatever and come out and do something about this. But again, I can see it from the not just skeptical, but almost like, okay, what's coming down the pike here that we're about to get screwed on?
You're not convinced of the nefarious,
I'm just excited from the potential of, because I mean, I think UFOs
finally,
are cool.
finally realizing that they're real.
And I've never seen anything.
I want dash cams on a 747, damn it. Yeah.
They probably have them.
Put dash cams on it.
They probably
On
have
every
them.
plane.
No, well, I mean, they
put GoPros on them.
Yeah,
they probably
for
have
real.
all this footage and stuff, from these
Right.
these flights that do get reported and followed up on, and this stuff is taken away, and you're not supposed to say anything about it anymore, which is again really weird. Why these people have been allowed to say what they've been saying out in public, and they're still around. They haven't gotten hit by a car, in some
Right.
freak accident or anything. So this is intentional by the government, allowing it to come out the way it is, and that's the part that I'm kind of like.
Yeah, because before it used to disappear.
It makes me say what's going on here.
Or somebody comes out and talks about your like with Bob Lazar.
Yeah,
all the stuff
you
about his.
discredit him
oh yeah,
so much
that there's
he
no
looks
college
like a Reagan
records.
lunatic.
There's no
Yes,
There's a lot of
exactly.
stuff that they did to him. David Fravor doing Rogan, I think was
it's
one of the first steps, and then the snowball just kept
yeah.
rolling and rolling and rolling, and now we're at this point where they're testifying before Congress under oath. Again, I understand that you can. Oh yeah, I'm telling the truth. But at the same time, it's pretty interesting.
Even that's being allowed though, because all these politicians need is a phone call from a certain person saying, "We're
Right.
nixing that," and it's nixed.
Right.
So the fact that this is being allowed is weird to me, because like what you were saying, is this stuff supposed to be declassified? The Freedom of Information Act never meant anything to me,
One of
because
the
the government's only going to let out what it wants to.
Of course.
One of the things that I thought was a bunch of these Congress people going, wait a minute, there's somebody above me that's doing stuff above me. Hey, we got to get to the bottom of this, because it's all of these funds.
I want their paycheck.
Yeah,
I think
or-
they know they're puppets, though. These politicians, they know they're owned.
Right,
And they follow
right.
the orders, the marching orders that are given to them,
I find the whole thing just fascinating. I never really thought about the reasons that they would do it. I was just like, I just want to know more about the actual, like, what's the data?
Yeah, all of this is being allowed to come out. These hearings and stuff, it's not like the politicians, we're going to get to the bottom of this type of thing. If the government, if the shadow government, if you will, doesn't want this to come out, all of that stops whenever they say.
Well, and that begs the question. I think someone mentioned it earlier. What's getting out there, like you said, is being allowed to be put forward, and I believe that, because, like you said, the government can shut people up if they want to, right?
Well, some of
what-
that stuff
what
was
is-
leaked, though. The
Right.
David Fravor stuff, all of his footage.
No, but all they had to say is this is fake. We don't know what this isn't
True.
legit.
But-
This isn't military footage.
If they're allowing this much to be out there, how much more is there? Also,
Right.
it's doing exactly, if you want to look at it from a tactical standpoint, like, they release this information to have this happen, people talk about it. What do they
get out of it?
Well, no, but what's really going on? People always say, oh, well, this came out to keep people's attention off of this bigger issue.
Melbourne was saying that earlier too. It's like, what are they really up to?
What are they hide?
And I'll-
What do they not want the public to focus on?
There's a really interesting interview that came out very recently, another supposed whistleblower, right? And again, it's hard. Again, when the guys start talking, CBD gummies, it makes me go, okay, how real is this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, during this interview, this guy was talking about human trafficking with alien technology involved. Guys in black, basically, his whole squad or whatever was like, yeah, we're not making it out of this. We weren't supposed to see this. Like this hovering piece of tech, and it was just like, I'm sitting there going, okay, really? This is crazy. I'd never heard anything. I'd never imagined that it could be something like that. But like when you said that they were in cahoots, kind of made me go,
Yeah.
hey, maybe they are. And there's some interesting videos there.
Do you really the United States, the people in charge, at this point, they know the aliens aren't going to take over the world, if you will, or what have you, because either they're in cahoots, they've made an agreement, they've known this forever at this point. So because if not, you think the United States military is going to allow invaders from space to invade our airspace to do whatever they want, and the United States military is powerless to do anything about it? They wouldn't stand for that. They would do whatever they could.
That's
Tim is following this very closely, and he's been telling me something about it. And I guess there's a pilot or something, like two pilots, and they're saying that they can't do anything about it.
right. That's what he said.
They said they're saying they can't.
They said, "Were you in any danger?" And he said, I didn't feel any, like there wasn't anything dangerous, but I wouldn't be able to protect myself if that's what you're asking."
I'm not talking
And it
about
was
the
like-
pilots themselves. I'm talking about above them. When they report this, it's don't worry about it. It's keep it. There doesn't seem to be the concern from the upper echelons
Right, from
of,
a danger
of
standpoint.
power that you would expect if they didn't already know what this stuff
Oh
was.
yeah, those guys.
They know what this stuff is, and they're just like, you didn't see anything, forget about it.
That's Fred. Don't worry about Fred. He's just flying around doing his thing. It's
So,
yeah.
but anyways, it's interesting to see what happens, what continues to unfold, and what angle they're going to go with this. It could also be a psyop where, they come out and they completely discredit these people one way or another to say, you're chasing ghosts. There are no UFOs. This might be a big ruse going in that direction as well. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
If that was the case, that would kill this forever.
Exactly.
It would kill it forever. If they came out and then like, oh, there's a whistleblower that came out. Oh yeah, this is this guy here. He's weaving you a web of deceit, and here's the proof. That would kill UFOs going forward for a long time.
Absolutely.
For the general public, because
Yes.
the UFO enthusiasts are always they're always going to do their thing. They have been. I'm talking about the general public.
Yeah, you should see the way that April looks at me when I'm watching another one of these. She's like, "Oh God."
It's something to think about. Is that what's happening? I don't know. I kind of don't think so, but it's a possibility that this is all an orchestrated thing to get it to a head to where when they pop it, it's done with. And it's not a thing that gets any traction from the general public again for like you said, a long time.
We saw government come out and say these guys are as crazy as they fucking want. Nope, I believe them. Just saying.
Yeah.
But we have our own experiences, and not everyone does. And I understand, like you, Robbie, you say you're a skeptic.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
You show me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe certain things, but until I see it, I'm not going to say I believe that. You know what I mean?
And just like you said, mathematically, it doesn't make sense that we're alone. It's
No.
just mathematically, there's other life out there.
Yeah.
So
There's a saying I forget what the quote exactly is, but it says we're either entirely alone in the universe, or we're not, and either one is equally as terrifying as the next. So
Yeah, that's kind of deep, actually.
Well, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed our kind of discussions / ramblings, our thoughts on current events as they're unfolding right now, and let us know if you want to continue watching more of this type of content. and see you later.